Today we are interviewing Mr. Stephen Spurlock.
Hey there, how are you, Miss Ava?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
I'm gonna ask you a few questions.
All right.
How would you describe your role as a public information officer?
Well, as a public information officer, my job is to inform the public, right? So to share information, not limited only to data and department response, but to educate the community about risk and enhance our public relations. So talking about the positive stuff that happens at the Nashville Fire Department.
Why is the PIO role helpful for an EMS agency?
Well, as I said, we want to promote the positives, right? So having the opportunity to share with the community promotions, commendations, retirements even. These are all big events and milestones in the careers of EMS workers. So it's very important that we share that and, celebrate that with the community. As well, we have the opportunity to notify the community on educational opportunities. So we do free CPR events, car seat installation, even blood drives. So using social media and the news and working with media partners, we have the opportunity to share that information and increase usership of free events. So it's a great way for us to connect with the community.
How would you describe your policy for handling media requests?
Well, with media requests, we need to make sure that they're going through the Office of the Public Information Officer. And by doing so, we ensure accuracy of information. We don't want anything to be misconstrued the wrong way. So as long as it's, and this goes for information coming from our department to the media, as well as media contact with the department. And so as long as it's going through the Office of the Public Information, then we have a way to ensure accuracy with that information.
Okay. What types of information and details can you share with the community?
Well, we want to be transparent. So we want to make sure that we're giving as much information to the community, right? That's who we serve. So sharing that information and trying to share as much as possible is our goal, but there are exceptions to that. We have to be careful with some information. Information on events, as I stated, community events, but also disasters. Here recently in Nashville in the past year, it's been pretty busy, right? I mean, we had a tornado. We had, of course, the COVID-19 pandemic and everything that's associated with that. But then also at Christmas morning, we had the bombing downtown. So these are all things that we want to be able to share information that we have and with regards to the work that we're doing, and as well follow up on that stuff. So with the tornadoes, we've got the initial event, but there's also cleanup efforts and then search efforts after the fact, and the community wants and deserves to know what we found after the fact. Even recently we had some flooding the last couple of weeks, right? We've had a lot of rainfall here, so the fact that as the water recedes, we want to warn them of the risk of the flooding and the fact that swift water can sweep them off their feet, move their cars off into ditches, all those things. But then after the fact, as the water recedes, and then basically the hard news that we have to share, as we've found deaths, so relaying that information to the public is just as important as it is to share the initial event.
What types of information considered confidential and cannot be shared?
So information regarding patient demographics, so who they are essentially, okay? Was this a 12-year-old young lady? We can't say stuff like that. We want to protect their information, okay? So we don't tell names. We don't talk about injuries or illness. For instance, if we work a shooting, we might say our crews worked an event that occurred on Clarksville Pike where numerous folks were shot, and Nashville EMS transported to local trauma centers. But that's about the extent of what we're going to share, because we don't want to identify those people and we don't want to share anything about their condition. So all that, we're pretty limited as far as what we can speak of. And that's due to the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. And that happened in 1996. And essentially that covers protected health information. Part of it's to protect, their insurance information, but as well their personal information. So we're not passing that along for people to use in the wrong way. Okay?
Last question. What recommendations do you have for journalists working for the PIOs?
Well, I think it's important that the journalists understand that this is a give and take, right? So we want to provide good, positive news stories to our community. And in doing so, feel-good stories are just positive for the community. That works for the news service and it works for us, right? We want to share the best of what we have. And I think for the most part, people want to see the good news too. Our news is covered up with a whole lot of bad stuff these days. So when we can share something positive, I think that's really important. But this goes for, beyond just the current breaking news and things that are hot topics. Even newscasters still have slow days when nothing's going on, right? Just a boring old rainy day outside and they've got to put something on the news. So, being friends with the media outlets, we have the opportunity to share stuff. And maybe it's just something educational or risk awareness, right? I mean, as I stated, we've had tornadoes, we've had floods, we've had a pretty eventful year. So we could put together a story that would help educate the community on what they need to do in the event of a tornado or in the event of flooding and how to prepare themselves for that. So those are some opportunities that we have.
That's all my questions. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Ms. Spurlock. It's been a pleasure, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.
You too.